sis and tell. A whole lot of talk, got a whole lot of nothing. Amanda does stand up, Alison's on TV, and when they hop on the phone, it's the place you wanna be. Sis and tell.
Hey, Allie.
Hey, man. What's going on?
Well, right now you can't see me because I have a surprise guest host with me.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Someone's gonna take over our hosting, my hosting duties because it's the holidays. So I thought we should have a special guest.
Oh,
and
no.
I know,
Is this like your alter ego?
no, this is a special guest. This is an actual other person. Shh. Okay, put on your headset. Okay, here she comes. Are you ready?
Not really.
Hello. I'm Bubbe the Elf.
Oh, Lord.
Hello. I came all the way from the North Pole to give the children new socks for Hanukkah. And Amanda said there's a podcast. So here I am.
Okay, you do realize that our podcast is not visual. So nobody can actually see what I'm seeing right now.
I'm saying it's strictly for you. This is Bubbe. What do we talk about on the podcast? What are we talking about today? Can we talk about how there's no good Hanukkah paper? Look, we got blue snowmen. Can they at least have Jewish stars on their little snow caps? No, they can't.
All right, right now you are wearing what looks like a green it's like I don't want to say a princess outfit. It's almost like a female Grinch.
No, it's an elf costume.
Okay, so it should be an elf costume. You look like a female Grinch wearing a black and white wig. Oh, of course. Oh my goodness. Yes. You even more reason. You look like the Grinch. You look like Bubbe the Grinch. I'm so sorry.
So, Aaron's friend, colleague, Danette, had this elf costume and gave it to Aaron. I don't know why, to give to me. And 2 days ago, Aaron says, I have an elf costume I'm bringing home. So immediately I went to Bubbe the Elf in my head. Like instead of Buddy the Elf.
I get it, yes.
Right? Like instead of his like grandma elf. And I came up with this whole backstory about her life. And then I went onto Amazon and ordered a grandma wig. And it came with these glasses and all sorts of things.
So it's hard to tell those glasses are not really your glasses. And it's hard to tell that the wig's not really your hair.
I know.
It's very convincing.
It's curly. This is what my hair would look like if I didn't dye it.
Yeah.
It's, you know.
We hope, right? I hope my hair would be that beautifully salt and peppered evenly. I don't think mine would. I think mine would be like just big chunks of gray.
Yeah, she's a hip grandma, though. Instead of her cruise, she went to the North Pole for vacation.
All right, Bubbe the Elf. Okay, I get it. It took me a full 3 minutes into the podcast to figure out the play on words. I still say you look like Bubbe the Grinch. I mean, you literally, that could also be a Grinch costume. That's very exciting, though.
Thank you.
That you've created a new Hanukkah character.
A couple of things have happened since I put on this costume. Which was about an hour ago.
I was going to say, did you leave the house for these things to happen? Okay, thank goodness.
I did. I left the house to go to my office, which is above the garage. But one thing that happened was Oscar, who's our youngest, who, do you know who his nickname is? We call him Bubbe. Bubbe. We call him Bubbe, but it derives from Bubba. But I've been just waiting for him to figure out that Bubbe also means grandma. And I've been concerned because I didn't want him to think we've been calling him grandma for his entire life.
Although it kind of fits.
It does fit.
Yeah.
It really does fit. So I had to break it to him that Bubbe actually means grandmother also in Yiddish. But he was entirely okay with it. And then a second thing happened, which was I asked Ruby if she wanted me to make a cameo on her virtual Zoom session this morning, and she did. So she hadn't had the camera on yet. And as soon as it turns on, it's me, a close-up of my face. And the teacher goes, Ruby, is that you? And then I was like, what was I thinking? I had to quickly come up with like the character and what she would say. So there's a whole like class out there, Ruby's entire ELA class thinks that like Jewish elves are like a thing now. So
No, there's a whole class out there who is now traumatized because this old looking Jewish elf totally bombarded their Zoom call this morning. It's going to be on CNN, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, it better be. And then I didn't put on the costume till this morning, and I thought it was like a pantsuit or something. I didn't know. And it's a dress, but it's like a slutty elf costume.
Well,
okay?
Even more perfect for you. I was going to say, when you stood up to show me your black, what are those, faux leather leggings underneath?
All right. So then that's where my new Spanx pants came in handy. I was like, oh my God, I got these Spanx faux patent leather leggings.
Oh, faux patent leather. They did look, wait, stand up again. Let me see.
Right? But they, oh God.
Yeah, try not to create a noose out of your headphone jack.
Here, can you see them? There they are. There's the
yeah. Oh yeah.
shiny.
When you move in the light, I can see those are faux patent leather Spanx.
Right.
I have not heard of those before. That's amazing.
So I've been seeing, I keep on getting like postcards with this woman with this amazing shiny butt, and then and then just to clarify, it's not a random woman sending me a picture of her butt. It's a Spanx advertisement, and it keeps on showing up on Facebook too. So I order them because also cousin Annabelle's like, my friend has those, and her butt looks so good. So I got them because they were on sale during Black Friday, and then I read reviews before I order something. Right. But I read the reviews after, and everyone's complaining about, what do you think? If you had to see these, what do you think a weird complaint would be? You may not even be able to guess.
They're too shiny? I don't know.
No, it's that they make noise when you walk.
So these are the updated version of the 1970s corduroy pants.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm used to, well, and then I wore corduroys like, look, I'm prepared for this because in the 90s when grunge was in, so were corduroys. So I was used to making that sound as I walked. So now I'm like, and I would try and do like a sample walk with you, but I'm wearing a lot of bells right now.
Yeah. I think they'll overwhelm the sound of the swishing of the faux patent leather thighs.
But I did almost give myself a hernia this morning trying to put on these, because I'm like, I feel like the first time you put on Spanx, you're like, what was I thinking getting this size? Right. Yeah. And it's like, but then after a while they stretch out just like a little bit. And so they're doing okay right now. Okay. So maybe tomorrow they'll feel better. But Aaron goes, those are some crazy pants. Those are like bondage pants.
And they look exactly how you think they look if you're listening to this. the patent leather. It looks like patent leather.
It does. They do.
Are they comfortable?
Yeah. They're like leggings.
Yeah.
They're just super shiny.
What everybody's been talking about for a while now are the faux leather, not patent, but just the faux leather Spanx, which I think have made a comeback. Every year, that seems to be the new trend. Everybody's talking about the faux leather. Now, I have the faux leather Spanx that I've had for a while, but I bought a few years ago, and my friends were making fun of me. They're not faux leather leggings. They are vegan leather leggings. And I don't know what the difference is, but I just know that when I bought them, I was specifically told they were vegan leather.
I'll tell you that
they are delicious.
Oh, gross. I hate it with people. That's like a word. What is, what's her name? She's the daughter of, who's the couple from Overboard? Goldie Hawn.
Goldie Hawn. Yeah.
Patrick Swayze. No.
Kurt Russell. Oh my gosh. You're talking about Kate.
Kate Hudson. Yeah, she's got that line of yoga like athleisure, and she's like, just of course she looks good in everything, right?
She looks good in a paper sack.
She's wearing like a sweater sports bra, like it's a sports bra but it's made out of sweater material. No one's gonna look good in that. And
that is so strange.
And she calls it, this is my yummiest outfit or something like that. I can't stand it when people say delicious and yummy for describing food.
Okay, I'm sorry. And I yummy is going a bit too far. I think yummy's one step past delicious, but I just can't explain them. I have a pair of leather pants. Now, anybody who's ever tried to buy leather pants, it's like one of those things where you think you want them and you assume you're going to look fantastic in them. And it is the opposite, right? At least for me. So I bought a pair of leather pants, I swear, maybe 12 or 14 years ago. And I did it. The worst part is I did it at one of those like home shops, like I think it was Etc. Right? You know, all these places where the people sell it out of their home.
Oh, that's what you mean.
And
okay.
and you try on, like they literally have 2 sizes there. And so you guess your size. And then 6 weeks later, they ship it to you. And there's no way to return it because the person has sold their house and moved out of town and changed their phone number. So now you're stuck with the pants and sweater set that you would have never bought had you been trying on the right side. I don't know.
Lord, don't buy a sweater set.
Anyway, so I bought these leather pants and I don't know. I put them on. They're like, oh, and they'll stretch. No, they don't. It does not stretch. They're not like those shoes that you buy where they're like, oh, they'll give after a few wears. They're lined and they're leather and they are binding. And they were binding when I bought them. And I'm always like, but one day, and they're also not the style that's flattering on me. Yeah. Like I'm very high-waisted.
Why'd you buy them?
I know. Well, and now I just keep them as a reminder, like, don't do that. Like,
shame on you. It is
a black leather cautionary tale hanging in my closet saying, don't, right? So every so often I try them on just to see if they've gotten more comfortable, and they haven't. And to be fair, they fit, right? Some days they fit.
You just don't like the way they look.
I don't like the way they look, and I can't explain.
Is there any elastic in them?
No.
No.
And
I can't wear pants anymore that don't have elastic. They don't feel right.
They're also not like a straight leg. They're sort of straight leg, but a little bit wider. Anyway, the whole look is terrible. So I say that because when I found these vegan leggings a few years ago, and I think it's a company called Piece of Cloth. So it's Peace. It's a play on words.
Right. It's in there. It's just all branding.
It's all branding. Anyway, and I was like, they're like, try these on. They're vegan leggings. And I was like, no, I have been down the faux leather road before. It does not end well for me, right? I think I'm going to love it. It just exacerbates and highlights the parts of my body I'm trying to cover up with the large tunic. So reluctantly, I tried them on. Number one, I'm going to stick with this word. They are delicious. They feel like butter going on your pants, and they are comfortable. And this is the trifecta. They are flattering. Okay, they are the most flattering and they're not like tight leggings. I mean, they fit close.
Who makes them?
Piece of Cloth.
Piece of Cloth.
I think that's the brand. I'm news, and so I've forgotten about these. Except now that I have seen your patent leather, your faux patent leather, I'm remembering about my deliciousness that is sitting in my closet, and I need to bring them out. I'm going to start. I don't care that I don't leave the house. I'm going to wear them because they are so comfortable.
That's how I feel. Like, why am I buying clothes?
Right.
Why am I buying black patent leather leggings? For what? I don't know. To go to the mailbox? You know, the thing is, I don't even have a key to our mailbox.
Right.
We have a keyed mailbox. You know what I've been doing? Literally since we moved into our house 13 years ago, I've been sticking my hand in to get the mail because Aaron has the key and he keeps forgetting to make me a copy.
So I don't understand. Your mailbox is it attached to your house?
No, our mailbox is a standalone mailbox. It's got like a key. Like it's got like a slot.
Yeah.
But
what if they have to deliver something that's bigger than the slot?
Then they put it on our front step.
Oh. But I'm saying not there's some mail that just doesn't fit in that slot.
Right.
A lot of mail.
Well, no, the slot's not it's not like the tiny slot.
Oh, okay.
They don't have to feed it in individually like a dollar bill and like a
That's
vending
what I thought.
machine.
Yeah.
No, it's much bigger. It's big enough for me to be able to get my entire hand in.
I got you.
Right?
Yeah.
Aaron could not get his hand in. I can. I have dainty little Bubbe the Elf hands. I don't know. I just went British.
You just totally changed. Yeah, Bubbe just got into the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movie, and you've turned into a 7-year-old.
Right. It's oh my God. I feel like I'm going through menopause. I've got between the the fake patent leather leggings that don't breathe and this fake velvet that's all over my body and the wig. I'm just like, this is too.
Are you moody and craving chocolate? That'll tell me if
I'm always moody and craving chocolate.
Ding, ding, ding! You are going through perimenopause.
So is Ruby, and she's 11. So.
Oh gosh.
Oh God. So speaking of Ruby, there's like crazy questions you never expect to have to answer when you have kids, right? And there's like some adorable questions, right? That they say when they're 4, and then they turn 11 and think they're 16, and they ask the craziest questions. Like she got into an argument with the boys about a specific topic that ended in her turning to me and saying, "Can we just get one of those simulators so the boys can experience what labor pain feels like?"
She doesn't even know what labor pain feels like.
I know, but she's arguing with them that they're saying if they got kicked in the crotch, that feels just as bad as labor pains.
It may. I mean, if you're going to get a simulator that simulates what it feels like to go through birth, she's going to have to also go get a simulator that feels what it's like to be kicked in the private parts.
Except if you're kicked in the private parts, I feel like that feeling goes away after 5 minutes, and that doesn't happen.
I don't know. I think it depends on how long you get kicked, right?
Right.
The difference is they're not wearing they're not wearing a super duper pad for the next 6 weeks after they get kicked in the nuts. So
mesh underwear. I go, look, I don't know what the pain feels like to get kicked in the crotch if you're a boy. But I do know that it was so painful to go through labor pains that I let them give me a shot in my spine twice.
Right.
Did you know that the first one didn't work on me?
Okay, so when I was the first two kids epidural, right?
Yeah.
So it's very directional too. That's what I learned. Like if your body is like tilted certain way, it will go the wrong way. Yeah. So when I had it for Levi, I was so close to, and they gave it to me, and in all of my labor pains were on my right side. It went to my left side. So I was totally numb on the left. And then I think they tried to give it to me again. It was too late. It didn't work. But then I had like the shakes afterwards because they had given me so many drugs.
Yeah, I had the shakes too. No, you know what happened to me is it didn't work at all. So I was feeling all the labor pains, but it felt like it was like in my stomach. I don't know. But, then Aaron had fallen asleep, and and mommy and daddy had left because I made them, because daddy, I was like, you gotta go. He's looking at the monitor being like, oh, I bet that one hurt. I'm like, leave, mommy, get him out of here.
Okay, when I gave birth to Arthur, and daddy was also at the hospital, and I was trying to breastfeed, and I just, the classic line was, the lactation specialist came in, and I go, I suck at this. And she goes, no, honey, someone else doesn't suck, and that is the problem. And I thought that was pretty funny. And so daddy came in like an hour later, and his first question was, has he latched on yet? I go, out. You have got to get out. I'm like, look, this is one of the reasons. Well, I'm superstitious, so we didn't have all the stuff in the room and put together. I was like, I have given you 2 days worth of projects. Go to my house, put the crib together, set the room up. There's so much for you to do except for asking about the latching on of my child. It's very uncomfortable. I'm already physically uncomfortable. Please don't make me emotionally and mentally uncomfortable. It's not worth it.
Well, I had to get the second epidural, and I was like, I had to be my own advocate at that point because mommy and daddy were gone. Aaron had fallen asleep.
Is this for Murray or the twins?
This is for Murray.
Okay.
No, the twins was a whole other thing, but for Murray, and who's our firstborn, and the male nurse, I guess they're an anesthesiologist, not a nurse.
Nurse anesthetist.
Nurse anesthetist came in, and
that's a hard thing to say, by the way. Nurse anesthetist. It's something like that. Yeah, the anesthesia nurse.
So I want to point out that he was a male because I don't think a woman would have done this. But I said, he goes, well, we'll redo it. Okay, you got to sit up and lean forward, and I go, wake him up, and Aaron's like asleep, and he goes, no, it's fine. It'll take 5 minutes or less. And I go, excuse me, go wake him up. I'm like, really? I'm saying I need my partner here with me, and you're like, no, you'll be okay. Well, let's trade places. I'm about to
Right,
kick him in the privates, right?
Exactly.
So,
Let me see how this feels.
right.
Well, you know my classic story about having Levi. So all of the boys were late, and I knew I was going to be late, but Arthur was 5 days late. Abe was 9 days late after the due date.
Wow.
Levi was 14 days late.
Oh my!
So,
They let you go 2 weeks past your due date.
you know, she did only because I had, you know, thankfully, you know, very traditional and normal and healthy births. And there was a pattern of them being late. I always say it's not really a due date. It's like a due guess, right?
Right.
And so I said, I don't want to get induced. I don't want to do that unless I absolutely have to. So she said, I'll tell you what, I will let you go as late as 14 days. And, you know, supposedly I was born 3 weeks late. I can't believe that, right?
You were huge.
I wasn't even that big. I was only
8'8"?
like, no, I was like 8'8" or whatever, but that's for back then. I don't know.
I think that was big.
I mean, the boys are over 9 pounds. Like, anyway. Wow. So it's the 2-week mark. I already had an appointment to go get an ultrasound just to make sure there was enough amniotic fluid. And I went into labor that same day. So I'm like, oh, that solves that. So I call, I say I'm on my way. It's literally the other 2 boys, I went into labor at like 11 o'clock at night. So we're driving to the hospital at midnight. They were born at 5 and 6 in the morning. This was totally different. This is like the middle of the morning, right? And I was like, all right, let's pack up. And so we're driving to the hospital. At this point, it's like noon. And Alan goes, so what are you doing for lunch today? And I said, what am I doing for lunch? I'm going to have a baby. I thought that's what I would do for lunch. And they really don't recommend you eat before you have a baby.
He was hungry. That was the issue, is he was hungry.
Well, it was noon. He is like a toddler, right? Like he has to eat yeah, he has to eat breakfast at 7:30 and lunch at noon, dinner at 6:15, right?
He's scheduled.
He's very scheduled. So he's like, oh, I said, well, you know, we just passed the deli. You could have gotten a sandwich there and brought it to the hospital. He goes, yeah, that would have been a good idea. I was like, oh, well, yeah. So he doesn't have to turn around, thankfully. So we're almost to the hospital. And he goes, so there's a Subway over there. Do you mind if I stop and grab a Subway? Well, Subway's like, it's pretty fast. So I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I mean, 3rd kid. I'm 2 weeks late. I'm in labor. What the heck? Go grab a Subway sandwich, right?
No.
So we pull in the parking lot.
I don't know this story.
You don't? Oh, my gosh. It's my best story. Not my best. My best labor story. We pull into the parking lot. He goes into Subway. And at that point, I'm pretty sure I'm texting Monique, right? Like on the way to the hospital, this, you know, whatever like that. And I'm like, Alan ran to get lunch. She's like, ran to get lunch? I mean, and I'm laughing about it. 15 minutes later, he comes back to the car. Okay.
No.
It was all I could do. Yeah. It was all I could do not to like walk in and go, what are you doing? Right. He gets in the car. He's like, all right. And like, nothing's wrong. I go, where have you been? What are you doing? And he goes, well, there was a really long line.
So you walk back out.
Well, there's 2 options, right? A, you walk back out.
My wife's in the car. I'm starving, but we're on the way to the hospital. No one would have believed him.
Yeah.
Who would have believed him?
I think they would. We're in the South. People are pretty trusting, and they're also pretty polite. I go, did it ever occur to you to say to the people in line, right? Like if you're in an airport and you're going to be late for your flight, you say to people, do you mind if I cut in line to go through security? I'm literally going to miss my flight. And I would always say, yes, go ahead, right? Like I hope
people have said no to me. I've done that before. Yeah.
Oh.
And then this was years ago before all the security rigmarole. And this woman who worked at the airport got mad at me for asking. I was like, fine. Oh,
I'll miss my flight.
They can say no. I was going to ask all 30 of these people.
Right. Well, and also like some people like in line for Subway are getting, you know, it's rush hour for, you know, in the middle of the weekend. So it's like, okay, you know, I'm getting it for like my coworkers, or they're very high maintenance. They're getting it toasted and all this. You know, there's all these ways you could make it really long.
They start chit-chatting.
Yes. Nobody's.
Hey, Mike, you're the best sandwich artist I know. How are the kids?
Exactly. And it's the South. Like we're slow as it is, right? There is no urgency to getting anything here. So I was like, did it dawn on you just to say, my wife is in labor in the car. Do you mind if I hop the line and grab a sandwich? I am pretty certain not only would they have allowed you to hop the line, but somebody probably would have paid for your meal, right? Like just said, dude, you go, we got, you know, I could see the whole scene. And this would have been a whole different story, right?
You should have walked in and
I mean, yeah,
and been
hello. So
we gotta get to the hospital.
I know,
I think they would
honey,
have thought you
what?
were lying.
Yeah, yeah.
Even in the South.
Yeah. So exactly. So he goes, no, I didn't think to say anything like that. I was like, oh my gosh. Anyway, the good news is we made it to the hospital in plenty of time. They did give me the epidural wrong. I had to get it twice, had the jitters. That was the whole day. It was a relatively, fine day otherwise. I mean, we had a boy and he was healthy and still is. So in other news, this has nothing to do with anything, but it happened this morning, so I feel like I need to share. So, I'm not going to Orange Theory yet, so I'm still running, and it's freezing here, but it was a little bit warmer this morning, a balmy 39 degrees. And my running partner and I run at 7, and I mean, there was like a 3-day period where 7 o'clock was actually light out, but it's not yet. So the sun doesn't rise till 7:30. And I won't go if she doesn't run one day. I won't go until the sun does rise because I'm so paranoid. I just, see things.
Yeah, good. Don't do that.
Yeah. Well, and this was the reason I'm glad I stick to that is because we start running. We are literally 60 seconds into our run and I go, stop. And she stops because what looks like a dog is crossing the path. Oh no, it is a huge fox.
Oh, a fox.
Yes, which we have them. We've had them in the neighborhood for as long as I've lived here, 20-something years. But I've never seen one this. It was long and it looked big.
I don't know. It's like winter coat, so it was like even bigger looking.
I guess so. But I said, oh gosh. So she goes, where's it going? I'm like, I don't know, but we're not going that way. So we turned around. We go the other way. It was like our whole run was filled with, it was all of a sudden we were like propelled into one of those like Disney movies where birds are flying around. Then we start running and there's something in the middle of the road and I can't see, of course, because it's dark. It's a bird and it just flutters up into me. I'm like, what is going on? Then we hear this sound. It's the geese off in the distance. She says, they sound very close. I'm like, this is crazy. I go, if I wasn't with you, I'd be gone. Yeah. I would be in the house and doing anything inside. I was so nervous, but it all worked out well and we never saw the fox again.
You have a lot of run-ins with woodland creatures, don't you?
I do have a lot of run-ins with woodland creatures, and there's rabbits and things like that, and I'm still paranoid. There was one time where a raccoon apparently jumped out of the drainage ditch at the bottom of our street, and it didn't attack a dog, but sort of defensively, I guess it was protecting its nest in there. Who knows? So I cannot walk by that drainage ditch. Light, dark, whatever, any time of day. I literally have about a 10 to 12 foot berth around that drainage ditch, just in case that raccoon family is still there protecting its territory.
Well, I told you about the attack squirrel, didn't I? I told you that story.
You did?
No, if you don't know about it, then you don't know about it.
Is it a recent attack squirrel?
Yeah, not against me, but up the street near our elementary school, someone was on a morning jog and they put out a warning that the squirrel attacked them. The squirrel ran up their leg and
what?
they said it sounds like unbelievable, but then I shook off the squirrel and the squirrel ran up to someone behind me and ran up their leg. And then the person who that happened to, who didn't know them, happened to see the post and was like, this happened. I was the person behind you. I would have never believed this story.
Gosh.
So it was some crazy, and then someone's like, well, we need to call animal control. And I'm like, how are you going to find the squirrel?
Right.
We're not talking about a rabid dog that's roaming the neighborhood and has a certain look to it. We're talking about a squirrel and they all look the same.
Oh my gosh. I would have been legitimately traumatized for the rest of my life if a squirrel ran up my leg or even someone's leg in my nearby vicinity. That is horrifying.
So someone pointed out that it may have been a squirrel that someone had found as a baby to rescue it and then entered it back into nature once it was, healed or whatever. And this brings me to my question. And I feel like
so it was just trying to find its original birth mom or adopted mom.
Right. It was just a friendly squirrel that was used to crawling on people because it had been rescued at some point. But this is I feel like a personality test question that you would have to take for at HR or whatever, when they're trying to figure out if you're what are those, all those acronyms or whatever. And it's that if you saw a baby squirrel that was hurt or had fallen out of the nest, what would you do? Would you leave it there? No, I'm asking. What would you do?
Is this a real... I just thought this was
Yeah.
the question that you would ask. Oh, you're asking me? Well,
Yeah.
I would try to find a way to rescue it.
You would? You would rehab a squirrel?
Yeah. Well,
You'd put
I don't know if I would touch it. First of all, I get very paranoid about like, I don't know, rabies or all the diseases that squirrels can have. But I would
also
definitely call somebody, the Humane Society or something, and just say, what can we do? If it was alive,
yeah.
I mean, a
Oh
poor
my God.
squirrel. What would you do? Nothing?
Obviously nothing. Squirrels are a dime a dozen. No, we had to take when I worked
That's
at
horrible.
when I had to take when I was at Cartoon Network, I came into the situation where it was like the first month I found out that our department did not get along with this other department. So HR made us do like this activity together to figure out how to work together. And they asked us this question. They came up with this scenario of you're in the middle of a forest by yourself or like with one other person. You find a hurt deer. It's a baby deer and there's no mom around. And then there's a giant, like a storm coming, like a tornado, like something that's going to put you in danger. What do you do? And people are like, well, I would stay and nurture. I would stay with that deer. And people would like, I would, make a thing to carry it away. And I'm like, I would leave the deer.
Bye-bye, dear.
There's a tornado coming. And I feel like I seem like the person that would stay with the deer, but I am not. Leave the deer. Nature has its ways of handling that.
All right, before we wrap up, I just have to tell you, you must go and Google the video on Facebook about the Australian guy who left his car door open and a koala bear crawled in. And it's him trying to get the koala out of his car. It is hilarious. It is so precious. I'll leave you with that. It's a great little video.
I would rescue a baby koala bear. Okay. Koala bears, I would not leave a baby koala bear in the middle of a forest by itself.
Let's be clear, you would adopt the koala bear, not just rescue it.
Oh my gosh, I would love a baby koala bear. Thanks for listening to the latest Sus and Tell podcast, and Bubbe the Elf says thanks for listening.
As always, this has been Amanda and Allison with a whole lot of mishugas about a whole lot of nothing.
Don't forget about me, Allison. You forgot to give me some credit, too.
We'll catch you next time.